Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. So we're talking about the matchup over this weekend, hosted by Mayweather Promotions and Lou DeBella, as well as Matchroom Entertainment on Showtime tonight, Saturday the 14th of 2017. First of all, I want to say that what a way to start the year in January. Showtime is just doing it. You know what I'm saying? This is not a pay-per-view event. I really like what Stephen Espinoza had to say about the pay-per-views coming out now. That they say the pay-per-view is dropped in boxing and it's because of Mayweather Pacquiao. It was not about Mayweather Pacquiao. It's almost 2 years since Mayweather Pacquiao came out. So you can't say that the pay-per-view is suffering because of that. As Stephen Espinoza so correctly said, and he's right, most of those fights that came out in 2016 weren't pay-per-view events by pay-per-view stars. Did Canelo's numbers drop? Nope. Canelo's numbers are great. Miguel Cotto's numbers, did they drop? No. Cotto's numbers are fine. The numbers that dropped are people who never were pay-per-view stars. Triple G, he even started to scratch the surface with pay-per-view, right? Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev was better. Sergey Kovalev is not a pay-per-view star. Andre Ward is not a pay-per-view star, right? To be a pay-per-view star, there's only 2 ways to do it. You got to become outstanding and start off with your own pay-per-view like Floyd Mayweather did. But you got to face a pay-per-view star to really get your numbers to bump up. Mayweather faced Arturo Gatti, that helped him. Then he faced Zab Judah. Then he faced Oscar De La Hoya for the big payday, and that's where he went. If you're talking about Canelo, well, Canelo wasn't no pay-per-view star, but he was on the pay-per-view undercard. But when he faced Floyd Mayweather, boom, his numbers went up. And Canelo's had good numbers since then. Right? Pay-per-view. He fought on Gudo, for crying out loud. He made 300 and something pay-per-view buys. 1,000. Right? When we talk about GGG versus anyone, that ain't gonna do nothing. GGG has to fight a pay-per-view star. He has to fight a Miguel Cotto or Canelo Alvarez to get his numbers to go up. It's just the way it works. It's always worked that way. So Stephen Espinoza is absolutely 100% correct. Yeah, they're good fights. And if Ward and all these guys keep on going into good fights, their pay-per-view is gonna rise. But you don't just wake up one morning and everybody just buy pay-per-view just like that. You don't just become a pay-per-view star overnight. It doesn't happen like that. So for all those people talking about Mayweather Pacquiao, I listen to the brain dead kind of talk and pay-per-view and boxing is in the trenches and it's going down and MMA is going up. I listen to some really lame things. Anyway. So Showtime is doing it right. When Showtime puts out their pay-per-view, it's going to be huge because a pay-per-view, to do a pay-per-view, you got to build up to a pay-per-view. You can't have 10 pay-per-views a year with the same boxer. That ain't never going to happen. Not with boxing. You got to build up to a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view event. You got to have venues for pay-per-view. You don't just pull anything out of your butt. You know what I'm saying? So James DeGale versus Badou Jack is not a pay-per-view event. Neither is the doubleheader Jose Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis. Okay? And that's the way these fights are supposed to go. When you make guys into a superstar, if James DeGale becomes a superstar, if Gervonta Davis, and people have seen them enough, which is what Premier Boxing Champions is all about, PBC. I heard a guy saying networks are not buying boxing today. Oh, yes, networks are buying boxing. I don't know what rock you crawl out from under, but that's what some people on Fox Channel, a really dumb, illiterate group of people talking about boxing. Boxing's everywhere now. And what's beautiful about boxing is that they're getting people to see these superstars on network TV, where you don't have to pay, on ordinary TV as well. And then eventually it's going to go into pay-per-view because you're building your pay-per-view stars. That's how you build them. But then again, people don't understand boxing, so it is what it is. Let's go to the fights for this weekend. James DeGale versus Badou Jack. Let's start off with the main event, right? This is an interesting event. Now, I am picking with my heart and not with my brain. If I pick with my brain, I know who's going to win. But let's just pick with my heart here. Badou Jack is the dude I'm favoring to win because I like him. But the tried and proven champion who has gone across the seas outside of his home court into other enemy territory multiple times and got the win and defended his title is James DeGale. So if you ain't know who's really going into this fight with a mental advantage and everything else on the line, and probably is going to win it, is James DeGale. I'm sorry, Badu, but with my head, I don't think you win in no fight. With my heart, I'm backing Badu. Badu's my dude. So my pick is based on my heart. Badu Jack. We haven't seen everything from him. We're now beginning to see him come into his own. And he's mostly an inside mid-range fighter. That's what he is. So if James DeGale keeps him on the outside somehow, some way, he gonna have to try and do that. You know, in the case of Andre Durrell, James DeGale kept Andre Durrell at a range where Andre Durrell could do nothing. He kept him more closer, and he beat him to the punch on the outside. But James DeGale can do it all. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. You know, he's a southpaw. He can fight southpaw, orthodox. He can switch it up. He's got all the skills to be able to win this fight. All right? And then when you look at his track record, this is what's so impressive about it. So he was beaten by George Groves when they were earlier in their careers. Young George Groves versus young James DeGale. And it was by majority decision. It was a close fight. Okay? Mentally, Groves had gotten to his head. In this case, he doesn't have to worry about that. He beat some common opponents like Marco Antonio Paraban. He actually knocked him out. And then, and by the way, he went across the United States of America into hostile territory, faced Andre Durrell, and he was able to win the vacant IBF World Super Middleweight title, knocking down Durrell twice in round 2 because he had that big left he has, okay, and that right hook too. He's really good with that. Then he went across to Canada and he beat Lucian Butte, okay, and then he went to Washington D.C. and he beat Porky Medina. So all of these things are important for you guys to realize. Okay? Now he's back in the United States fighting Badu Jack. So this brother had been, for the last 4 fights, consistently going into hostile territory. I'm sure if Badu Jack was to go to England and fight James DeGale, it would be a different story. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, this dude has done the track record, done the work. He shows he's mentally strong. Also shows that he's got the skills to outright beat his opponents. So you got to give the guy his props. That's why I think he probably might pull off the championship and become the unified champion. But I do expect this fight to be close between these two guys because their skill sets are interesting. And again, Badu Jack, on the inside, Badu Jack is dangerous. Mid-range inside dude, dangerous. He tried to get on the inside of you. So James DeGale, he has to use his strategy, even though he's pretty decent on the inside too, of keeping the Badu Jack on the outside. So his shotgun jab is going to be very effective at catching Badu Jack on the outside. I don't know what Badu Jack has for him, so we're going to see, right? Badu Jack is also a proven fighter, getting better. He was knocked out by a guy called Derek Edwards. Hopefully he gets to avenge that fight sometime down the line. You know, he should do that. He should do that. So it looks like, you know, okay, I was defeated, but I avenged my loss. He should do that. Now, in terms of names, he also fought Porky Medina, but he knocked out Porky Medina, but he drew with Marco Antonio Paraban. Very interesting, isn't it? So, I guess styles make fights. He also faced Anthony Durrell. Anthony Durrell at the time was a WBC World Super Middleweight Champion of the world. The Durrell brothers are very skilled boxers, but Badu Jack was able to comprehensively beat Anthony Durrell. I don't even think it was a majority decision win. I think it was just a straight up win. And really took the title from him. I was really impressed by that. Then he went on to, and I mean, Anthony Durrell was trying to hit him with that right hook, but it just didn't happen. I mean, Badu Jack, again, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad got credit for that. I give him all the credit in the world. I don't know why Badu Jack left Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. I think that might also affect him in this fight. We'll see if it will help or hinder him. So even though I'm going with Badu Jack, I think everything favors James DeGale to win this fight. Anyway, moving on. He beat Anthony Durrell. Then he faced George Groves, and he got a split decision win. And knocked down Groves also in the first round. So that's really impressive. And then he went on to face Lucian Butte, and he was able to get a majority decision draw. But really, he should have won that fight. And one judge had it for him, and two other judges had it a draw. So it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. He did win that fight though. Okay, and Butte faced some drug doping test, which is terrible. So at the end of the day, very competitive in terms of similar opponents with James DeGale. Badou Jack, did he fight any of his fights outside of the United States? No, he did not. So at the end of the day, I give the edge really to James DeGale because DeGale has proven himself time and time again. Now, in terms of strategy, I think Badou Jack is much better conditioned than James DeGale. James DeGale is now getting his conditioning up to par. Even though James DeGale will probably be in great physical shape and mentally, I think Badou Jack is going to be the guy. He's not as skilled, at least as far as I know. I don't know. I may be wrong. I'll have to watch the fight to see. But he's improved a lot as a champion. But I think he's not as skilled as James DeGale in certain aspects. But in terms of his conditioning, I think he's a much better conditioned athlete than James DeGale. So we have to see, watch and wait and see to see what's really going on. I got to go to church. So, yeah, guys. Jose Pedraza. Jose Pedraza is an excellent boxer all around. He can switch up southpaw, orthodox. He can fight on the inside, fight on the outside, fight at mid-range. This is a very tough challenge for Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is very sharp, at least explosive and sharp in terms of his punches. His accuracy is also very good. He has decent punching power for a super featherweight. Decent punching power. It's mostly he's sharp and quick and very accurate. I can't really say much about Gervonta Davis. I can tell you a lot about Jose Pedraza. Gervonta Davis is not as sharp in his footwork as, say, a Floyd Mayweather. He reminds me a little bit more of Adrian Broner, kind of like footwork. And he's kind of predictable in how he moves in. He does certain things, which if you pay attention, you will see he's doing certain things. But other than that, that are kind of predictable. But other than that, he's very sharp. This is a big step up for him. This will be his 17th fight. Floyd had his 18th fight against Gennaro Hernandez. This is Jose Pedraza. Jose Pedraza, by the way, is he's a recent world champion, undefeated as well. In 2015, he beat Andrei Klimov to get the IBF World Super Featherweight title, defended it successfully twice. And he's from Puerto Rico with a rich history in boxing. So the sniper, he'll be in there against the tank. This will be very interesting to see who does what. Okay, Gervonta hasn't faced anybody like what Jose Pedraza has faced. So it's going to be interesting. That's all I'm going to say. Guillermo Avila was probably the closest thing to Jose Pedraza that Gervonta faced. Gervonta can fight off the back foot, the front foot. He's showing some good boxing skills. He gets hit sometimes, but he's tough. So I would love to see how this matchup will paint. Again, I'm going with my heart, not my brain. My brain says Jose Pedraza for the experience, being the world champion, and the skill sets. Gervonta, all-around skill sets. Gervonta Davis, I go with my heart. He's sharp, he's explosive. And so I'm betting with my heart. But really, if I was to really bet with my head, Jose Pedraza should win and James DeGale should win their fights. With my heart, I think Badou Jack and Gervonta Davis could win because, one, Badou Jack is very, very, very well rehearsed. Seems to be improving, well conditioned. So Gervonta Davis, not as well conditioned. Very explosive, very, very sharp when he throws his punches. Very accurate as well. So that's what those boys got going for them. I think their opponents actually have wider skill set. I think they're more mentally proven. Pedraza having more experience at the championship level. DeGale having more experience in hostile environments. So actually, at the end of the day, I'm really interested in seeing if DeGale and Pedraza prove me wrong. I went with my heart instead of my head. So we'll see. All right, maybe I should go with my head, huh? We'll see. All in time. You guys have a great one.